Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about pregame warm-ups and how I get my teams ready to play a match. So let's go. So this was another surprise to me that I got so many requests to do a video on pregame warm-ups. And it was really a blessing in disguise because it got me to think, how do I do my pregame warm-ups? And I do the same thing every time, but I'm not sure I thought it through as to what I'm really trying to accomplish. First of all, the pregame warm-up is going to be slightly different depending upon your age group, but I think the principles are the same. To me, there are 5 parts to any good warm-up: mental preparation, physical preparation, getting touches on the ball, positional play, and lastly, your pregame speech. So I'm going to be going through these 5 parts of a warm-up in relationship to how I got my U9 team ready for games this year. And I'm going to show examples of specific footage of that. Again, if you have an older team, there might be some slight modifications, as well as the other thing to think about here is spacing. So sometimes if you're at a tournament, if you are at a park with very little room, you don't have this much space, so you're going to have to modify that as well.
This is my typical setup if I have half a field to work with. And this was the setup that I used this season with my U9s. You can see we have 2 cones that are set up right around the half line, and then we have 2 grids. This is my typical setup for 10 to 12 players. If you have additional players or an older team, you actually may need to have 3 grids set up here.
The first exercise is a combination of mental and physical. Really, at the youngest age groups, they don't need a lot of physical activation. Their muscles are ready to go, but they need a lot of mental preparation.
To begin, they start at 1 cone and are lined up in 2 single file lines. In tandem with their partner, they begin doing each exercise that I call out down to the next cone. Once they reach that cone, they then turn to the outside of the group and come back into line. They need to be focused on doing this together with their partner, and they don't go until the group in front of them is halfway in between the 2 cones. The various types of exercises that we will do here include jogging, side steps, butt kickers, high knees, along with you can even do certain types of stretches, hamstring stretches, groin stretches, and such. Here you can see I'm getting the team ready to start. They're forming their lines. Here I'd be telling them to get themselves mentally prepared, start getting ready for the game, and they can see they go up and back around to the cone. This is something that's done in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the warm-up. It gets them mentally prepared for the game and in the right frame of mind to start working together and prepare themselves mentally to play. The physical preparation begins with a warm-up activation game. You can see here that the 2 grids are combined with all the players inside the 1 large combined grid. We start by asking them to look for space, start moving around the large grid. Once they've started to move around and find space, we introduce 1 ball. The kids are encouraged to continue to find space, continue to move around, and communicate to each other. After a while, a 2nd ball is introduced, and we see how long they can keep this up with 2 balls in the grid moving around. Eventually, a 3rd ball is added. This one is typically done in the air for me, where I'll have them use only their hands for that ball. You can vary the number of balls used and the size of the grid based on the level of the team and the age of the team. The other thing you can do is add complexities to it, so you can make it a 2-touch limit or a 1-touch limit. You could also make it so they can only use their weak foot or their weak hand. What you're trying to do here is get them ready for scanning, getting their head up looking for space during the game, as well as being able to communicate and work together. The boys typically enjoy this as it does have an element of chaos and fun. Just make sure that they're taking it seriously, looking for space, getting their head up, and communicating with each other. The next step is to make sure the kids have got touches on the ball. So for me, that boils down to doing rondos. Here you can see the 2 grids are now separated, and we have 2 4v1 rondos. There are many benefits to doing rondos, including touches on the ball, but also communication, scanning, and movement. This also prepares the boys for how I want to play, which is a possession-based game where we move the ball and we work together. These rondos can be advanced depending on your team's age and ability level. We could easily go to 4v2 here. We could also combine this grid into a 7v2, 7v3. These become very seamless and easy to do, especially considering that the boys do them in practice frequently. The next step is to play a positional game, reinforcing our team shape. Typically, I play a 7 versus 3 building out of the back possession game, where the team in possession has to keep it, and if the defenders win it, they can go to goal. What we're doing is reinforcing how we're going to play within our shape and how we move the ball together as a team. For U9 and U10 at 7v7, you can start with the defenders at the build out line. Depending on your numbers, you may have to use other coaches or siblings. But as you can see, really we're focused on how the players move together within their shape. The last part of your pregame warm-up is the pregame speech. Here, I think it's really valuable to use visual aids. So I use cones, as you can see here. The cones represent our shape. So you can see the 2 center backs, the 3 midfielders, and then the 1 striker up top. And I'm discussing how we're going to play and specific strategies. What we do when we have the ball, what we do when we don't have the ball. Lastly, you want to impart some kind of motivation. So my teams, we always have a mantra, and our mantra is nobody outworks us. So I always tell them, no matter what's happening in the game, whether you're winning, whether you're losing, nobody outworks us. In summary, guys, you're going to get your team mentally focused with the 2 cone drill. You're then going to move on to a warm-up activation game for the physical preparation. We're going to do rondos for touches. We're going to do a 7v3 possession game for our positional play. And then we're going to give a pregame talk that goes over strategy and tactics. As always, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.